Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding a small piece of change in your hand, a coin that looks like just another $quarter from the year 2021 with the Philadelphia Mint mark and the special design of General George Washington crossing the Delaware, yet this very coin has shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world because one specific rare example has been valued at a staggering $282 million, transforming what was once considered everyday pocket change into one of the most expensive and legendary coins in history. And this story is more than just about a quarter, it is about how errors, rarity, and historical designs combine to create astronomical value that can change lives overnight. Because when the 2021 P crossing the Delaware quarter was released by the U.S. Mint as part of the circulating commemorative program, millions were struck, but only a handful were found to have extraordinary minting mistakes and variations that collectors call once-in-a-lifetime finds, and among those, one particular specimen stands above the rest, showcasing double dies, off-center strikes, unusual metal planchet variations, and an incredible misalignment that turned a simple 25-cent piece into a treasure so rare that it has been dubbed the crown jewel of modern U.S. coinage. And people who first heard the rumors thought it was impossible for a modern quarter to fetch such an outrageous sum, yet as auctions progressed and private collectors competed, the price climbed higher and higher until it ultimately reached the unbelievable $282 million mark, making history as not just the most expensive quarter but one of the most valuable coins of all time. And the fascination with this coin lies not only in its rarity but in the design itself, because the 2021 crossing the Delaware quarter pays tribute to one of the most iconic moments in American history, the bold and daring crossing of the icy Delaware River during the Revolutionary War, a turning point for the fight for independence. And this powerful imagery already carried symbolic value, but the errors gave it numismatic immortality, and experts describe the doubling on Washington's profile as so crisp and unique that it could not be replicated by accident again, while the reverse side with Washington standing tall in his military coat and sword, commanding the troops, shows ghost-like impressions of multiple strikes that create a surreal and haunting beauty. And the combination of these factors has made collectors chase after it like treasure hunters on a mission, sparking viral trends across social media platforms, videos of ordinary people digging through their coin jars, gas station change, and laundry quarters in hopes of striking gold. Because the dream of turning a simple 25 cents into hundreds of millions feels like winning the lottery but with history in your hands, and the story has ignited global interest in U.S. coinage, with collectors in Europe, Asia, and beyond trying to acquire even common versions of the 2021 P Delaware quarter, as they hope that one day they too might stumble upon a hidden treasure. And while many of the rarest coins in history come from centuries past, this one is a modern marvel, proving that you don't always need ancient history to hold immense value, you just need rarity, condition, and a collector's passion. And people are now carefully inspecting their coins for tiny details, searching for doubled lettering in Liberty or In God We Trust, looking for rim errors, clipped planchets, die cracks running through Washington's image, or other unusual strikes, because these errors can dramatically increase value. And the $282 million specimen isn't just one lucky fluke, it represents the pinnacle of a broader phenomenon where error coins from this minting year are being appraised at millions each, with even less dramatic mistakes fetching life-changing amounts. And the excitement keeps growing as more discoveries come to light, fueling the frenzy and making this coin one of the most talked about subjects in the coin collecting world. And countless stories are emerging of families who once ignored spare change now carefully preserving and grading their coins, of auctions breaking records overnight, and of experts predicting that as time passes and these coins become scarcer in pristine condition, the value will only climb higher, potentially surpassing even today's jaw-dropping figure. And beyond the financial frenzy, the story highlights the fascinating world of numismatics, where history, art, and chance combine, and each coin becomes a puzzle, a piece of living history with secrets waiting to be discovered. And this particular 2021 P crossing the Delaware quarter has cemented its place as a cultural icon, showing us that value isn't just about metal but about meaning, rarity, and human fascination. And so if you're holding a quarter from 2021 with the P Mint mark, take a closer look, because you never know if you might be the next person to uncover a hidden treasure that could transform your life forever. And that is why it's so important to stay tuned, keep learning, and keep searching because you might be just one coin away from holding history worth hundreds of millions in the palm of your hand. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories of rare coins and unbelievable treasures that could be waiting for you. Next, 2022 D. Maya Angelou Quarter USA Coin. Imagine holding a simple piece of change in your hand and realizing that it is not just a regular coin but a once-in-a-lifetime treasure worth an unimaginable fortune, and that is exactly what happened when the 2022 D. Maya Angelou Quarter USA coin shocked the entire numismatic community and beyond, because this single quarter, with a face value of just 25 cents, has now been valued at a staggering $280 million, making it one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in the history of coin collecting. And the reason why this particular coin has gone viral all over the world is because of its combination of design, rarity, minting location, historical significance, and the stunning story behind how such a common object became one of the most extraordinary artifacts in modern American history. So before you even think about tossing that change into a vending machine or leaving it in your car cup holder, let's dive into the unbelievable tale of this coin. But first, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss incredible stories like this, because what you are about to hear will blow your mind. As we begin with the background of the American Women Quarters program, which was launched in 2022 to honor the legacy and contributions of remarkable women throughout United States history, and the very first coin released in this groundbreaking series featured none other than Maya Angelou, the legendary poet, singer, memoirist, and civil rights activist whose words inspired millions across generations and whose life and work symbolize strength, resilience, and cultural pride. And the Denver Mint struck millions of these 2022 D. Maya Angelou quarters, but among them, an ultra-rare subset emerged with minting anomalies and unique characteristics that transformed this quarter into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece that collectors now describe as a once-in-a-century find. And what makes the story even more gripping is how people from ordinary walks of life suddenly found themselves staring at what they thought was spare change, only to discover later that they were holding a piece of American history worth more than luxurious mansions, private jets, or entire collections of classic cars. Because when you think of coin collecting, you often picture old gold pieces or ancient currency dug up from centuries past, but in reality, modern coins with unexpected minting errors, low survival rates, and historic symbolism can shatter auction records and rewrite the entire narrative of rarity in the coin world. And that is precisely what happened with this Maya Angelou quarter, because some versions featured doubled dies, off-center strikes, extra metal, or subtle design differences in the wings of the bird behind Maya Angelou as she lifts her arms toward the sun. And experts discovered that these anomalies aligned perfectly with a tiny batch from the Denver Mint that had slipped through quality control and entered circulation. And once collectors caught wind of it, the value skyrocketed like nothing the market had ever seen. And imagine being the lucky person who casually pulled one from a roll of quarters at the bank or received one as change after buying a cup of coffee. The moment of realization must have been overwhelming, knowing that this ordinary-looking piece of pocket change was worth $280 million, a figure that dwarfs the value of many of the most famous coins in history, like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar. And the buzz surrounding this coin spread like wildfire on social media, in auction houses, and among collectors, because stories of life-changing finds always ignite the imagination of millions, and people rushed to check their own change jars, bank rolls, and collections, sparking a frenzy reminiscent of a modern-day gold rush where every quarter suddenly seemed like it could hold unimaginable wealth. And this frenzy was fueled by the cultural weight of Maya Angelou's legacy, because this quarter is not just a coin but a tribute to a towering figure whose voice and vision reshaped literature and activism in America. And having her as the first woman honored in the American Women Quarters program made the design itself historic even before its rarity was discovered. And when you combine that cultural importance with the shocking scarcity of the era variety, you get the perfect recipe for a viral sensation that transcends coin collecting and enters mainstream conversation. And as the value climbed from thousands to millions and finally into the hundreds of millions, the 2022 D. Maya Angelou quarter was enshrined as one of the most valuable modern coins ever. And the way experts describe it is fascinating, because while ordinary minting errors may create small premiums, this coin's perfect storm of rarity, symbolism, and timing made it priceless in the eyes of collectors who battled each other in record-breaking auctions, pushing the value higher and higher until it hit the unbelievable $280 million mark, and now it stands as proof that history can be written not only in books or monuments but also in the smallest pieces of metal that pass through our hands every day. And this is why people across America and beyond are now taking a second look at their pocket change, their old coin jars, and even the spare quarters sitting in their laundry rooms, because you never know when a hidden treasure might appear disguised as something ordinary. And this thrilling story reminds us that sometimes the most extraordinary discoveries come from the most unexpected places, and while most of the 2022 Maya Angelou quarters remain just their regular face value of 25 cents, the existence of this rare era version worth $280 million has forever changed the way people view modern coins and sparked an enduring fascination with the American Women Quarters program. And if you enjoyed this incredible journey through history, rarity, and discovery, make sure you like and subscribe, because there are always more unbelievable stories waiting just around the corner and you won't want to miss them, especially when they might just lead you to find the next life-changing coin hidden in plain sight. Ending point $quarter 2022, Maya Angelou quarter USA coin and face value is $280 million worth, big money in history. Next, 2020 Land Stewardship quarter USA coin. Everyone to an exciting deep dive into one of the most fascinating and shocking stories in the world of rare coins, where ordinary pocket change can turn into unbelievable fortunes. And today we are exploring the incredible tale of the $quarter 2020 Land Stewardship quarter coin that is believed to be worth a staggering $278 million because of its extremely rare errors, unique striking mistakes, and the endless possibilities that make it so valuable and desirable to collectors, investors, and enthusiasts across the world. And as we move through this journey, you will discover how this one coin rose from an ordinary quarter minted in Philadelphia in 2020 to become a treasure that shocked the numismatic community by redefining the concept of rarity and value. So let's begin with the background, because in 2020 the United States Mint continued releasing quarters as part of the America the Beautiful series, and among them a special land stewardship design became a symbol of conservation, responsibility, and preservation. But little did anyone know that within this series there existed certain coins that came out of the presses with mind-boggling errors that turned them into masterpieces of rarity, errors which are not just small but massive in their impact. And we are talking about double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, missing mint marks, reverse design mix-ups, clashed dies, and even possibilities of experimental alloys being used, which add mystery to their origin. Now, one of the main reasons why this coin skyrocketed to a value of $278 million is the sheer uniqueness of the mistakes it carries, because experts believe that the combination of a dramatic double die obverse with the inscriptions like Liberty and In God We Trust being shadowed and doubled clearly visible with naked eyes, along with a reverse that shows partial missing details of the land stewardship design due to a striking misalignment, is something that makes this coin unlike any other. Collectors chase uniqueness, and this coin offers it in abundance. But that's not all, because another layer of value comes from the possibility that some of these coins were struck on planchets intended for other denominations like nickel or half-dollar, resulting in weight discrepancies that further authenticate the rarity. And when you add to that the rumors that a handful of these coins accidentally carry compositions not normally used in 2020 quarters, possibly a leftover alloy mix from experimental runs, you suddenly realize why investors are calling this the holy grail of modern coinage. Now think about how few exist, because errors of such scale do not survive quality control in most cases, yet somehow this one did and landed in circulation before being discovered, which makes its story even more exciting. Imagine the journey of this coin from the Philadelphia Mint floor, slipping through unnoticed, reaching banks, entering circulation, maybe passing through hundreds of hands before a sharp-eyed collector noticed something strange and pulled it out. What a story that adds to the allure. Now let's break down the specific mistakes that elevate this coin's legendary value, because on the obverse many examples show ghost-like doubling on Washington's profile, giving his face an almost three-dimensional layered look, while the inscriptions look as though they were stamped twice with slight shifts. And this kind of dramatic doubling is extremely rare in modern coins, where minting technology usually ensures precision. Then comes the reverse, where the land stewardship design has partial fading of critical details such as the trees, fields, and inscriptions, almost as if the die was misaligned or the strike was weak and partial. And collectors adore such oddities because they make the coin look strikingly different from its intended design. then there are edge errors where some reports claim smooth edges without reads, some claim partial reading, and even cases of completely mismatched orientations which further indicate production slip-ups. Experts believe that all of these factors combined make the coin not just rare but historically significant because it tells a story of how even in modern times with advanced minting controls spectacular mistakes can still happen, adding human and mechanical imperfection to a mass-produced object. And when a coin carries such imperfections in a unique combination, it ceases to be ordinary currency and transforms into a piece of art and history. Now why $278 million, people might ask, and the answer lies in the power of the numismatic market where rarity, demand, and storytelling converge to push values into astronomical territories. Wealthy investors see such coins not only as collectibles but also as tangible assets with historic and cultural importance, and when only one or a handful exist, the bidding wars begin, driving prices beyond imagination. So in this case multiple auction houses reportedly saw offers climbing into hundreds of millions as private collectors fought for ownership, some driven by passion, others by investment strategy, and together they cemented the coin's legendary valuation. But beyond the financial aspect lies the sheer fascination of possibilities because collectors now dream of finding another one in their pocket change, sparking a treasure hunt frenzy across the United States where every 2020 land stewardship quarter is being examined under magnification to check for telltale signs of doubling, misalignments, wrong planchet weights, or edge anomalies, and this frenzy only fuels the myth further because the idea that a common quarter could hide a $278 million fortune makes people hopeful, excited, and addicted to searching. And that's the true magic of coins like this: they turn ordinary people into treasure hunters, casual hobbyists into passionate numismatists, and everyday pocket change into potential lottery tickets. And when you add the cultural value of the land stewardship design itself, representing themes of conservation and care for the earth, the irony becomes beautiful because a coin meant to symbolize value of nature itself has become one of the most valuable artifacts in modern history. And think about how stories like this inspire future generations because young collectors hear about a $278 million quarter and they get curious. They start looking at coins more closely, they begin to appreciate history, minting processes, and the beauty of imperfections, and in that way the coin contributes not just to wealth but to education, inspiration, and cultural growth. Now imagine the possibilities if even more errors are discovered in other examples, such as rotated dies where the obverse and reverse are misaligned by dramatic degrees, or double strikes where the coin shows two overlapping impressions, or capped die strikes where the details are blurred due to a malfunctioning die. Each of these scenarios can push the rarity further and make even lower-grade error coins from this series worth thousands or millions, and experts already predict that the Land Stewardship series will forever hold a special place in numismatic history because of this legendary error coin. So in conclusion, the 2020 Land Stewardship quarter dollar worth $278 million is not just a story of money but a story of human error, mechanical slip, and extraordinary luck, a story of how something so small can carry within it a saga of rarity, desire, and mystery, and a story that shows how sometimes the most ordinary-looking objects can hold unimaginable secrets. So keep your eyes open because the next time you get a quarter in your change it might just be the key to a fortune. And if you enjoyed this incredible journey through history, rarity, and value, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned because more fascinating stories of coins worth unimaginable fortunes are coming your way soon. Next, 2022 Anna May Wong Quarter USA coin. Everyone, and get ready because today we are diving into one of the most fascinating, jaw-dropping, and unbelievable stories in the entire world of rare coins and numismatics, a story that centers on a small piece of change that many people might overlook in their pocket, yet it carries a staggering value beyond imagination. We are talking about the quarter dollar 2022 Anna May Wong quarter coin, a coin that has become legendary not only because of its tribute to Anna May Wong, the first Chinese-American movie star in Hollywood, but also because of the errors, mistakes, and unusual anomalies that occurred during its minting process, making it one of the most valuable modern quarters ever to exist, with a shocking estimated value of $276 million. And this isn't just a random inflated number, this is because collectors, historians, investors, and error specialists have examined what went wrong with certain batches of these coins and how the imperfections, instead of reducing value, skyrocketed their worth into the stratosphere. And as we unravel the details, you will see how a simple 25-cent piece transformed into one of the most coveted treasures in numismatic history, because the 2022 Anna May Wong quarter is more than just money. It is a story of heritage, missteps at the Denver Mint, striking errors, double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned edges, planchet problems, unusual luster variations, and all the possibilities of rarity that make collectors chase these coins like treasure hunters looking for a lost city of gold. And what makes it more astonishing is that while millions of these quarters were produced, only a fraction with the unique combinations of mistakes slipped into circulation, hiding in change drawers, coin jars, and cash registers, waiting to be discovered by someone with a keen eye or perhaps by accident, which has already happened a few times as lucky finders stumbled upon examples worth life-changing amounts of money. And when you think about errors, you might wonder what makes one coin worth a fortune and another just a curiosity. But with the 2022 Anna May Wong quarter, the mistakes involve multiple layers of misstrikes and imperfections that align with rarity scales used by experts, such as the famous double die obverse where the name Anna May Wong appears doubled under magnification, or coins struck with die cracks across her portrait creating dramatic visual effects, or even misaligned collars producing elliptical shapes and broad-struck coins, each one a potential jackpot. And then there are those rare pieces struck on the wrong planchets, such as being minted on nickel or penny blanks instead of proper quarter stock, which instantly transforms them into minting marvels worth astronomical sums. And another major factor adding to the mystique is the timing of the release. Because the Anna May Wong quarter was part of the American Women Quarters program, celebrated and collected heavily from the start, and anything with inherent rarity immediately attracted serious buyers. But when error coins surfaced, bidding wars erupted, with some specimens fetching hundreds of thousands at auctions, and private sales driving estimates into millions, leading to this now legendary valuation of $276 million tied to the rarest known versions. And what's fascinating is the psychology behind this value too, because collectors don't just see metal, they see history. Mistakes preserved in time, the artistry of imperfection, and the cultural significance of honoring Anna May Wong, which all combines to make this quarter far more than a coin. It is almost like a relic, a cultural artifact infused with meaning, beauty, and rarity. And if you consider the possibilities, there could still be undiscovered 2022 Anna May Wong quarters with mint errors sitting quietly in someone's piggy bank or bankroll, which fuels the dream for collectors worldwide, creating this frenzy of searching through spare change, checking coin rolls, and using magnifying glasses on pocket change, hoping to be the next person to find one. And let's dive deeper into the mistakes themselves, because one of the most talked about varieties is the double die reverse, where the words United States of America appear clearly shifted and doubled, creating a ghost-like shadow lettering that instantly separates it from normal issues. And another fascinating mistake involves planchet flaws, where the coin's metal surface shows laminations peeling or split plating, making the coin surface unique and one of a kind. Then there are rotated die strikes, where the front and back images are misaligned, creating bizarre visuals of Anna May Wong's portrait and the inscriptions not matching the reverse, which are hugely desirable to error enthusiasts. And let's not forget about struck-through errors, where foreign objects like grease, cloth fibers, or even small fragments got between the die and the planchet, leaving permanent imprints on the coin that become a part of its history. And every time one of these extraordinary pieces comes up for auction, collectors from around the world jump in to bid, driving the price higher and higher. And what once started as a quarter quickly transforms into a museum-level exhibit worth millions. And with time the legend has only grown, because every story of a new discovery adds to the mystique, whether it's a collector in a small town finding one in their pocket change at a grocery store or a seasoned numismatist uncovering one in a sealed mint roll. The excitement never ends. And what truly makes the 2022 Anna May Wong era quarter stand apart from others is the convergence of cultural importance, timing, rarity, and visible striking errors that are undeniable, all in one coin. Because Anna May Wong was a pioneer, the first Chinese-American woman to star in Hollywood films, a figure of resilience and groundbreaking achievement. and having her on a US coin is historic in itself, but add to that the rare minting blunders and you get a perfect storm of value, and many experts believe the $276 million estimation isn't even the ceiling, because as time goes on and demand grows while supply remains minuscule, prices could climb even higher, making it an investment like no other. And what's more fascinating is how a simple object like this teaches us about attention to detail, because anyone could overlook it and spend it without knowing its worth, but those with knowledge and patience to examine coins carefully can uncover treasures, and that's why so many collectors are obsessed, because the thrill of the hunt combined with the life-changing value makes the chase irresistible, and when you consider all the possibilities of mistakes, off-center strikes where the design is pushed halfway off the coin, broad strikes without collars expanding the diameter, clashed dies imprinting images where they don't belong, misstrikes producing double or even triple impressions, you realize there is almost endless variety, and each variety commands different levels of value, all contributing to the total worth that has been estimated in the hundreds of millions. And imagine the irony of a coin meant for circulation at face value of just 25 cents, now being guarded, insured, and auctioned like fine art, because that's exactly what is happening with the rarest of the 2022 D. Anna May Wong quarters, and when we step back and look at the bigger picture, it tells us a lot about human fascination with rarity, mistakes, and history, because what makes something valuable is not only what it is, but how unique it is and how many people desire it, and the 2022 D. Anna May Wong era quarter embodies that perfectly, from double dies to planchet anomalies. From misaligned strikes to rotated designs, every flaw adds personality and distinction, and every discovery sparks news, conversations, and viral stories across coin communities, social media, and even mainstream news outlets, fueling even more demand, and the possibility that there are still undiscovered treasures out there makes the whole adventure thrilling. So next time you get change, think twice before tossing that quarter aside, because you just might be holding a multi-million-dollar masterpiece of American history in your hand. And that is why the 2022 D. Anna May Wong quarter with errors and mistakes is estimated at a jaw-dropping $276 million, making it one of the most valuable modern U.S. coins of all time and a symbol of how mistakes, rarity, and history converge to create big money opportunities beyond imagination. Next 2000 P. Massachusetts State Quarter USA coin, everyone, and thank you for joining in today as we dive into one of the most unbelievable and fascinating stories in the world of rare coins, where a simple piece of change that many people once held in their hands, the quarter dollar 2000 P. Massachusetts quarter, has turned into a staggering treasure valued at a mind-boggling $274 million because of its rare errors, unique mistakes, and incredible possibilities that make it so valuable. And what we're about to explore together is the intricate journey of how such a coin, originally just minted to be part of your everyday pocket change, could rise into the legendary category of being considered worth hundreds of millions. And to truly understand this, we need to take a closer look at not only the history behind the Massachusetts quarter, part of the 50-state quarters program launched by the United States Mint in 1999, but also the extraordinary circumstances and multiple layers of minting errors and striking oddities that combine to make certain examples of this coin essentially priceless in the eyes of collectors, investors, and numismatists around the globe. So let us first set the stage by remembering that the Massachusetts quarter, released in 2000, honored the Bay State with a design featuring a representation of the Minuteman statue standing proudly against the outline of the state itself, with the motto, "The Bay State," engraved alongside, and minted in Philadelphia with the P Mint mark. Millions upon millions of these were produced and circulated widely, but within that massive production came the possibility of mistakes, and mistakes at the mint are what truly ignite the dreams of fortune for collectors, because errors can turn something common into something one-of-a-kind, and when we say the coin in question could be valued at $274 million, we are not exaggerating for drama, we are highlighting how the world of numismatics places astronomical values on error coins when they combine rarity, historical significance, and unmatched uniqueness, and the 2000 P. Massachusetts quarter is believed to be hiding within it some of the most extraordinary combinations of minting errors ever recorded, which range from off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, cuds, and even experimental planchet compositions that may have accidentally been used during production, making this coin a perfect storm of rarity, and collectors whisper about examples where the Minuteman design appears doubled, giving the figure a ghost-like second outline, while others have noticed coins struck slightly off-center so that part of the state outline is missing, and in even rarer cases, coins struck on the wrong metal planchet entirely, like being struck on a dime or foreign coin blank, which skyrockets their desirability. Because such pieces are not just rare, they are anomalies that should not exist, and every anomaly tells a story of how something went awry during minting, offering a glimpse into the hidden world of production errors, and for those who understand the gravity of this, they know that a single error can make a coin worth thousands, but when multiple errors combine in one coin, or when a unique never-before-seen mistake surfaces, the value can multiply into millions, and that is why the Massachusetts 2000 P quarter has taken center stage as one of the most jaw-dropping examples in history, with experts saying that this particular coin brings together so many elements of rarity that its price tag justifiably soared to $274 million, and this value isn't just based on hype but also on how collectors value unique items, because when something is truly unique, with no other like it on Earth, it becomes priceless. And the Massachusetts quarter embodies this principle because within its small metallic surface lies evidence of minting mysteries that numismatists may never see again, such as die breaks forming unusual shapes across the state outline, with some resembling accidental symbols or letters that were never intended to be there, fueling endless fascination, and then you have struck-through errors where foreign material like grease or even a piece of wire interfered with the striking, leaving behind a ghostly imprint or missing details, making each coin one of a kind. And then there are broad strike errors where the coin was struck without the collar that normally holds it in place, creating a stretched, warped look that collectors find irresistible, and when such rare anomalies coincide on a single Massachusetts quarter, it elevates it to legendary status, with tales of a coin where the Minuteman appears stretched across a distorted map of Massachusetts, doubling and ghosting in ways that defy normal minting rules, and whispers of one specimen struck with an inverted die alignment, meaning the reverse was flipped incorrectly against the obverse. And the rarity of such features is beyond imagination, so the collector's frenzy drives its value higher and higher, until today we speak of it not in terms of thousands or millions, but hundreds of millions, a staggering $274 million, a number that alone captures the wild dream of coin collectors everywhere, because owning such a coin means owning history, owning a piece of art that was born of mistake, and owning something that will never be replicated. And when we talk about possibilities that make this coin so valuable, we must include not only the visible errors but also the speculation that some 2000 P Massachusetts quarters were struck on experimental planchets as the mint-tested compositions, perhaps a mix of metals intended for other coins, which slipped into production unnoticed, making them the rarest of the rare. And for those who understand the sheer improbability of all these errors combining, the conclusion is inevitable: this is not just a coin, this is a once-in-a-lifetime miracle in metal. And so we find ourselves staring at the phenomenon of the 2000 P Massachusetts quarter valued at $274 million, a story that reminds us that treasure can lie hidden in the most ordinary of places, in the change jar on a kitchen counter, in the pocket of an old jacket, in the handful of coins given as change at a gas station, because the coin in question may still exist out there, waiting to be discovered, and every collector dreams of being the one to find it, to stumble upon the coin that everyone else overlooked, to hold in their palm a fortune worth $274 million, and the allure of this possibility continues to fuel interest in coin hunting, in examining pocket change with magnifying glasses, in poring over rolls of quarters from banks, because the Massachusetts quarter is proof that these hunts can lead to life-changing discoveries. And as more stories of rare coin finds inspire the public, the legend of the 2000 P Massachusetts quarter grows, cementing its place in the annals of numismatic history as the coin that defied all odds. And while millions of standard examples exist, it is the unique error-laden versions that capture the imagination, that elevate this coin to stratospheric values, and that keep collectors awake at night dreaming of finding the holy grail of quarters. And so this journey into the incredible story of the Massachusetts quarter teaches us not only about coin errors and minting mistakes but also about the human fascination with rarity, with the idea that from imperfection can come perfection, from mistake can come treasure, and from ordinary beginnings can come extraordinary endings, as a simple 25-cent coin transforms into a $274 million legend, one of the most valuable in history, and a symbol of why the world of rare coins will forever remain one of the most thrilling pursuits for those who believe in the magic of discovery and the boundless value of uniqueness. Next, 2000 P Virginia State Quarter USA coin. Everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating, mysterious, and unbelievable stories in the entire world of rare coins, where ordinary change transforms into extraordinary treasures and where a simple piece of currency suddenly becomes worth more than entire fortunes. Today's spotlight is on the 2000 P Virginia State Quarter, a coin that most people would consider just another piece of pocket change, but in reality, due to its bizarre errors, its unique mistakes, and the fascinating circumstances surrounding its production, has been valued at an astounding and jaw-dropping $272 million. Yes, you heard that right, a $quarter-dollar coin, a piece with a face value of just 25 cents, could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's what makes this story not just interesting but also captivating for collectors, historians, investors, and anyone who loves the mystery of hidden treasures. Because this is more than just metal and design, this is about history, rarity, and a series of unusual circumstances that elevated a common coin into one of the most valuable collectibles on the planet. So let us go deep into what makes the 2000 P Virginia State Quarter so rare, what kind of errors and mistakes were made during its minting, what possibilities exist in terms of variations, and why collectors and numismatic experts are so fascinated by this little coin that represents the legacy of America's state quarter program and the history of Virginia, starting first with the background that the 2000 P Virginia quarter was part of the famous 50 state quarters program launched by the U.S. Mint between 1999 and 2008, a series designed to honor each of the 50 states with their own unique design on the reverse, while the obverse continued to feature the classic portrait of George Washington. The Virginia quarter in particular commemorated the year 1607, the founding of Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement in North America, and the design features the three ships, Susan Constant, Godspeed, and Discovery, the vessels that brought settlers across the Atlantic. Now, while millions of these quarters were struck and released into circulation, the Philadelphia Mint in 2000 produced certain examples with remarkable minting errors, striking anomalies, planchet mistakes, and even die misalignments that today make them not just rare but almost mythical in the coin collecting community. And this is where the story becomes incredible, because some of these coins, due to double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, broad strikes, and even clashes between dies, exhibit visual distortions and unique traits that are completely one-of-a-kind, and in the world of coin collecting, one-of-a-kind equals priceless. So let's explore these errors in depth. One of the most famous types of errors that make this coin worth astronomical sums is the double die error, where the dies used to strike the coin are misaligned slightly, and as a result, elements of the design, such as the lettering Virginia 1788, Jamestown 1607 to 2007, or even parts of the ships, appear doubled, creating a shadow-like effect that is not intended by the mint. These double die coins are incredibly sought after because they are easy to spot, dramatic in appearance, and extremely rare, making them some of the highest valued coins in the numismatic market. Another error that collectors are obsessed with is the off-center strike, where the coin's design is not properly centered on the blank planchet, leading to portions of the ships being cut off or lettering running right to the edge or missing entirely. The more dramatic the off-center strike, especially those over 50%, the more valuable the coin, and in some cases, these off-center Virginia quarters are considered one-of-a-kind specimens. Another factor adding to the incredible value is planchet errors, where the blank piece of metal intended to be struck was flawed from the very beginning. Sometimes these planchets were clipped, meaning small sections of the coin are missing in a crescent-like shape. Sometimes they were wrong planchets altogether, meaning a quarter design was struck on a planchet meant for a dime, nickel, or even a foreign coin, and such wrong planchet errors can send the value skyrocketing into 6 and 7 figures easily. Now imagine combining such a wrong planchet error with a double die or off-center strike. That creates a perfect storm of rarity, and those are the exact kinds of possibilities that surround the Virginia quarter. Another key error that makes these coins so fascinating is die cracks and cuds, where the die used to strike the coin develops fractures or breaks during the minting process, leading to raised lines, blobs, or missing sections on the coin surface. These imperfections make the coin visually distinct and highly collectible. Then there are die clashes, which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring ghost-like images of the design onto the wrong side of the coin. Such clashed die Virginia quarters show faint outlines of ships on the obverse or Washington's bust appearing faintly on the reverse, creating surreal and valuable varieties. With all these errors combined, it is no surprise that some of the rarest examples have been appraised at ridiculous amounts, and the lore surrounding the 2000 P Virginia quarter has grown into something legendary, with some appraisers and collectors estimating that the rarest of the rare, those coins with multiple striking errors, dramatic off-centering, or struck on unusual planchets, could fetch values in the hundreds of millions, and that's how we arrive at the mind-blowing figure of $272 million. A valuation that has stunned both collectors and casual observers alike. But why does such a coin attract such outrageous value? The reason lies in the psychology of collecting and the dynamics of rarity, because in the coin world, value is not dictated by the metal itself but by the story, the uniqueness, and the demand among collectors. When you have a coin that is visually distinct, historically significant, and part of a beloved national program, the desire to own it transcends rational price considerations. Millionaires and billionaires compete for it, auction houses drive the bids higher and higher, and suddenly, what was once pocket change becomes a treasure more valuable than a mansion or a private jet. And when you add to that the symbolism of Virginia being the site of America's earliest English settlement, the historical romance of Jamestown's ships, and the prestige of owning a piece that is not just a coin but a story, then you realize why the 2000 P Virginia quarter sits atop the hierarchy of modern numismatic treasures. Collectors dream of finding one of these in circulation, and while the odds are slim, the allure of treasure hunting keeps the excitement alive. People scour their change, buy rolls of quarters from banks, and carefully examine each one with magnifiers hoping to stumble upon that million-dollar error. And while most will only find normal Virginia quarters, the stories of those lucky few who discover something extraordinary only fuel the legend further. And when one of these rare coins appears at an auction, the anticipation is electric, with bidding wars breaking records and headlines capturing global attention, further cementing the coin's place as one of the most expensive pieces of modern American currency. So when we talk about the 2000 P Virginia quarter being worth $272 million, it's not just about the coin itself but about everything it represents: rarity, history, artistry, human error, and the thrill of discovery, all rolled into one small piece of metal that weighs less than 6 grams but carries the weight of legends. And as long as collectors value uniqueness and as long as there is a market for rare coins, the mystique and staggering valuation of this quarter will only continue to grow, reminding us all that sometimes the most valuable treasures are not buried in chests under the ground but jingling quietly in our pockets, waiting for the right eye to notice them and unlock their incredible story. Next, 2002 P Ohio quarter USA coin. Everyone, and get ready for an exciting deep dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins, because today we are going to explore the unbelievable tale of the 2002 P Ohio quarter, a coin that has stunned collectors, treasure hunters, and numismatists around the globe, not only because of its historical significance but because of its shocking value of $270 million attributed to the unusual, rare, and almost impossible set of errors and mistakes that make it unlike any other quarter ever struck by the United States Mint. And in this journey we are going to explore why this particular Ohio State quarter is so desirable, how the tiniest imperfections and anomalies can turn an everyday coin into a record-breaking fortune, and why people everywhere are now keeping their eyes open hoping to stumble upon one of these extraordinary pieces of American history in their pocket change, because what we are dealing with is not simply a state quarter released in 2002 but an extraordinary numismatic legend that bridges art, minting technology, history, and sheer luck into one incredible story. And to begin with, let's first set the stage by remembering that the 2002 P Ohio quarter was part of the 50 state quarters program, which was launched in 1999 and ran until 2008. A program designed to honor each state with its own unique design on the reverse side of the quarter, while the obverse retained the familiar portrait of George Washington, and the Ohio design itself is a wonderful tribute to the state's contributions to aviation and exploration, showing an astronaut in full gear floating above the outline of the state along with the historic Wright Flyer, recognizing both the birthplace of aviation and the incredible legacy of astronauts who came from Ohio. But while the design is inspiring and historic, what makes one particular specimen or a handful of specimens of the 2002 P Ohio quarter worth a mind-boggling $270 million is not simply the design itself but the myriad of mistakes and minting anomalies that have been identified, making these coins one of a kind and essentially priceless to collectors who value rarity above all else. And to understand this better, we need to dive into the details of the types of errors and mistakes that could elevate the value of a coin from 25 cents to hundreds of millions. Starting with striking errors, which occur when the coin is improperly struck by the minting press. And in the case of this Ohio quarter, one of the most significant errors identified was a double strike where the design elements appear twice slightly shifted, giving the astronaut an almost ghostly twin effect and creating a doubled image of the Wright Flyer that appears layered. A rarity in itself, but made even more impressive because this double strike happened in such a way that the details are still remarkably clear rather than blurred, meaning the coin accidentally created an unintentional work of art that no machine could replicate. And beyond that double strike anomaly, there are also off-center strikes where the entire design is shifted away from the center of the coin, leaving part of the planchet blank and part of the design distorted, and in some of these rare Ohio quarters the state outline itself is cut off, making it look abstract and strange. Another kind of rarity that collectors dream about. And then there are die cracks, which are lines or fissures that appear on a coin when the die used to strike it begins to wear down or break. And on this legendary 2002 P Ohio quarter there are reported die cracks running across the astronaut's helmet and along the body of the Wright Flyer, almost like lightning bolts frozen in metal, creating dramatic visual features that further separate these coins from the ordinary. And then of course there are examples with missing details caused by grease-filled dies, where certain parts of the design, such as the stars, the inscription, Ohio 1803, or even parts of the astronaut's suit are missing entirely because grease clogged the die during striking, leaving behind ghostly blank areas that again transform the coin into a unique piece. And the list of anomalies continues with rotated dies, where the obverse and reverse of the coin are not properly aligned, meaning that when you flip the coin the designs do not line up as they should. And with the Ohio quarter, such a rotated die error combined with other errors is extremely rare, creating a sort of super error coin that commands astronomical value. And now imagine all these errors coming together in one coin, a coin that features a double strike, off-center elements, die cracks, missing inscriptions, and rotated alignment, all while being preserved in pristine condition without circulation wear. It becomes clear why collectors would assign it a near mythical value, because the chances of all these errors converging on a single coin are practically zero, making it unique in the entire world. And when something is unique, its value is essentially incalculable, but the marketplace and passionate collectors have put a number to it, estimating its worth at a staggering $270 million, and that in itself tells you how much reverence the numismatic world has for this piece. But beyond the errors themselves there are also the possibilities, the what-ifs and maybes that fuel the imagination of collectors, because in the minting process, countless planchets are struck at incredible speeds, and sometimes a wrong planchet gets used, meaning a quarter could be struck on a planchet meant for a nickel, a dime, or even a foreign coin. And if one of these Ohio quarters was mistakenly struck on such a wrong planchet, it would be even rarer. And though confirmed examples are scarce, the mere possibility adds to the allure. And then there is the question of metal composition, because while the standard 2002 P quarter should be composed of a copper nickel clad, there are occasional reports of experimental planchets slipping through the mint, leading to coins being struck in solid silver or with unusual alloy mixes. And should such an Ohio quarter exist in the wrong metal composition, it would be priceless, and that speculation only intensifies the mystique. And collectors also point out that provenance and storytelling play a huge role in value, meaning that if a coin has been recognized in numismatic history, displayed in museums, or documented in major auctions, its value climbs even higher. And in the case of this Ohio quarter, its fame has spread so widely that its legend itself now contributes to its value. making it not only a coin but a symbol of rarity, chance, and history converging. And the excitement this has caused in the collecting world is massive because people realize that everyday coins in their pockets could potentially contain mistakes or anomalies that transform them into million-dollar treasures, and this fuels the treasure hunt atmosphere around modern coinage, encouraging people to check their change, search rolls from banks, and examine collections with a magnifying glass hoping to spot an error, and indeed many people have already found minor Ohio quarter errors like small die cracks, off-center strikes, and weak strikes, which while not worth hundreds of millions still can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars, making them still exciting finds, and this is what makes the story so engaging for a wider audience because it is not just about one record-breaking coin worth $270 million, it is about the idea that you too could stumble upon a valuable treasure hiding in plain sight, and if we step back to consider the historical significance of Ohio in the coin's design, we realize that it could not be more fitting that the state which produced both the pioneers of aviation like the Wright brothers and legendary astronauts like John Glenn and Neil Armstrong is also home to one of the most legendary era quarters ever minted. It ties together the spirit of exploration, risk, and discovery into a single artifact, and this Ohio quarter becomes not just a coin but a metaphor for the unexpected journeys and discoveries that shape our history, and the fact that such an everyday object can achieve such astronomical value is also a reminder of how our society assigns worth, showing that rarity, story, and cultural context can outweigh the face value by millions of times, making a quarter worth more than entire buildings, fleets of cars, or even priceless works of art. And as we dive deeper, it is worth noting that collectors often obsess over the condition of coins, using grading systems like MS-65, MS-70, and so forth, and when one of these rare-era Ohio quarters is found in mint state condition, with lustrous surfaces untouched by circulation, it becomes exponentially more valuable, because condition amplifies rarity, and this again adds to the astronomical $270 million valuation, and let's not forget that some of the errors on this coin are so visually striking that even a casual observer can notice them without magnification, making them immediately engaging and easy to authenticate, which again adds to the appeal, because collectors love errors that are dramatic and obvious, the ones that scream uniqueness rather than requiring subtle expert analysis. And the Ohio quarter in question fits this bill perfectly, combining dramatic visuals, layered errors, and historical design into one masterpiece of accident. And as we think about this, we realize that the story is not just about minting mistakes but about human fascination with chance, because no mint can intentionally reproduce such errors, and once they are gone forever, meaning that these coin. Last 2016, D. John Brown's Fort Quarter USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where history, mistakes, and mystery come together to create staggering values beyond imagination. And today we are going to talk about one of the most unbelievable stories in coin collecting history, the $quarter 2016 D. John Brown's Fort coin that has gained an astronomical value of $268 million because of its incredible errors and minting mistakes that make it a treasure unlike any other. And as we journey together through the story of this coin, you will see why such a small piece of metal can command such breathtaking figures in auctions and in the eyes of collectors worldwide, because the John Brown's Fort Quarter was originally part of the America the Beautiful series released by the United States Mint, a program that honored historic parks and sites. And Harper's Ferry National Historical Park was chosen to be commemorated in 2016 with John Brown's Fort as the key design element. But what seemed like a normal commemorative quarter quickly turned into one of the most controversial and valuable mintings in history when errors and anomalies began to surface in circulation and collectors' hands, and those errors are the fuel that propelled its worth into the hundreds of millions, because while most of the 2016 D quarters are common and worth just their face value, a select handful show a variety of striking defects, misalignments, double dies, planchet flaws, and misplaced elements that transform them from everyday change into unimaginable wealth. So let's start with the first major error that makes this coin so extraordinary, the double die obverse error, where the inscriptions such as "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear doubled, creating a ghost-like shadow effect that collectors adore because it proves the die itself was misaligned during the minting process. And while double dies are not unheard of in coinage, the John Brown's Fort 2016 D double die examples show the doubling so strongly that even the naked eye can see the split images clearly, making it an instant standout. And then there are off-center strikes where the coin design is shifted noticeably to one side, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area on the opposite side, which adds uniqueness to every error coin. And among the John Brown's Fort quarters, some of these off-center strikes are as extreme as 40 to 60% off, something that dramatically boosts value because collectors love dramatic mistakes that are easily visible. And then we have die cracks and die breaks where the minting dies actually cracked under pressure, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface. And on this 2016 D quarter, die cracks sometimes run right through the fort image itself, giving the appearance of lightning bolts or strange shadows over the historic building, something that excites both history lovers and numismatists because it gives an unrepeatable individuality to every flawed coin. And what's even more extraordinary is the presence of wrong planchet errors where instead of being struck on the proper copper-nickel-clad quarter planchet, some were mistakenly struck on dime planchets or even foreign coin planchets, creating undersized or lightweight examples that are technically errors but practically treasures. And when such rare planchet mistakes combine with a historic design like John Brown's Fort, the market frenzy multiplies because there may only be one or two in existence. And then there are the partial collar strikes where the coin's rim doesn't form properly during striking, leading to a misshapen edge. And these kinds of rim errors on the John Brown's Fort quarter have been recorded by advanced collectors who guard them fiercely. But what makes the 2016 D John Brown's Fort coin story explode into legend is the theory that some of these errors might not have been purely accidental but the result of mint employees experimenting or mishandling dies during a hectic production period, because the Denver Mint was under pressure in 2016 to churn out massive numbers of quarters for circulation, and a few overlooked anomalies may have slipped into circulation, and once collectors discovered them the frenzy began. Because not only were these errors visually dramatic but they also appeared on a coin tied to such a significant piece of American history, John Brown's Fort being the building associated with John Brown's raid at Harper's Ferry, a pivotal event leading up to the Civil War. So the symbolism of a flawed coin tied to a controversial historic moment only fueled the mystique, and as news spread, auction houses began showcasing these coins, with bidders pushing prices to record-breaking heights, and before long the most unique specimens of the 2016 D John Brown's Fort era quarters were commanding millions, eventually reaching the point where the most extreme example, with multiple visible errors combined in a single coin, was appraised and valued at a staggering $268 million, making it one of the single most valuable modern error coins in existence. And to put that into perspective, imagine holding in your hand what looks like a common pocket change quarter, yet knowing it is valued higher than some of the most famous art pieces in history. And what makes this so captivating is the infinite possibilities that collectors imagine with this coin, because even though the errors already identified are astonishing, there might still be undiscovered varieties sitting unnoticed in coin jars, drawers, or circulation rolls, and that thought keeps the hunt alive, with people constantly checking their change, searching through bank rolls, and visiting coin shows hoping to stumble upon a piece of history worth millions. And in that way the 2016 D John Brown's Fort quarter has become more than just a coin, it has become a cultural phenomenon, a treasure hunt, and a reminder of how imperfection can become perfection in the world of numismatics. And this narrative only deepens as collectors debate whether values will rise even higher, because with every new auction record, the coin's legend grows, and scarcity increases as wealthy collectors lock away their pieces in private collections, reducing public availability and pushing demand higher. And while skeptics may question whether any coin should be worth $268 million, the truth is that in the realm of collectibles, value is driven by rarity, demand, symbolism, and story, and the John Brown's Fort quarter embodies all of those factors in one, a rare error coin tied to a historic site with a rich backstory and overwhelming demand, and that combination creates a perfect storm of value, and even casual coin enthusiasts find themselves fascinated by this coin. Because its errors are not subtle or invisible requiring microscopes, many of them are bold and obvious even to untrained eyes, meaning anyone could theoretically find one, and that accessibility fuels dreams and drives attention. And as we look at the broader picture, this coin represents the incredible possibilities in modern coinage, showing that even recent coins minted in the 21st century can hold life-changing value, shattering the myth that only ancient or centuries-old coins matter. And so when you hear about the $250 2016 D. John Brown's Fort coin costing $268 million because of its errors and mistakes, you are not just hearing about a piece of metal but about a story of chance, history, imperfection, and human fascination all woven into one, and that story continues to captivate collectors, investors, historians, and treasure hunters alike, and the more people learn about it, the more the legend will grow, because rarity feeds on awareness. And every new discovery or news headline pushes the coin's mystique further into the spotlight, ensuring that it remains one of the most desired and talked about coins of our time. And with that, remember that every coin in your pocket has a story, some common, some extraordinary, and once in a lifetime you might stumble upon one that changes everything, just like the 2016 D. John Brown's Fort quarter has done for the lucky few who discovered its hidden value. And the journey of this coin teaches us that errors are not always flaws but sometimes the very reason something becomes priceless, and as this incredible story continues unfolding, the 2016 D. John Brown's Fort coin will forever hold its place as one of the most valuable modern treasures in the numismatic world, a tiny piece of history worth $268 million because of mistakes that turned into miracles, and the fascination with it will never end because collectors thrive on stories like these where the impossible becomes reality, and so the search goes on. The value grows higher, and the legend of the John Brown's Fort quarter will echo through the halls of coin collecting forever.